So it's February 9th, 2026. It's Valentine's Day in 5 days, and I'm single. So I just started finishing a rambling and ranting session on myself about how I can't be too hard on myself, because last night I wrote a self-reflection thought that was very, very critical of where I am in life so far. And I said a lot of mean things towards myself. And one thing I noticed is it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, genuinely, nobody cares. Like, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing in life, okay? Nobody knows where they're going, what actually is the driving factor of what they do. But, you know, you can get a good and clear idea and build a plan and some sort of structure around that in life. And I was just going on a tangent now to myself, talking out loud in my car about how it's not that difficult to just go out and try to find a date, right? For this Saturday, February 14th, 2026. I can find a friend who's also single, call him up, and if we have the free time during our days, we can literally go out to a cafe, to a bar, somewhere, and ask a couple of girls out. It's not that hard, right? It's simple. It's not easy, but it's not that hard. Simple is simply hard work put in through an objective and clear strategy, formulated through a plan with, a bit of luck involved. That's it, right? And this is all the information I found on Instagram Reels or on YouTube or wherever, right? And I don't even read that much. So this is just me, ruminating in the middle of the day. And so I told myself, if I'm gonna go a year without a date, because it's been almost a year that I've gone without a date. It's been like 10 months, right? How am I gonna get better? And I was telling myself, even if me and my friend go out and we try and we fail, guess what? If we're in the same position next year around, we'll know better. You know what I mean? And so that's what I told myself. I'll get a friend. I have friends that want a girlfriend or want intimacy, right? A want. Maybe it's a need, maybe it's even a desire. I don't really know the discrepancy between the two or three, but that's not the point. If you want something, you need to put X amount of input and get Y amount of output, or the other way around. I'm not sure. I was talking to myself earlier about that as well, right? So this is going to be applied to the gym. If I'm not going to the gym and I'm putting X amount of work in the gym, I'm going to get Y amount of output or input in my body, and that's going to show, right? Or if I'm not working hard enough in school or in work, well, that's going to show. So it's just the example. It's the lesson that can be learned. It's that simple. This is just overthinking, but it's why do you want this? Because it's a want. When there's a want, there's a will, right? That's the quote or something like that. But so you have to be determined. You have to have strong willpower. You have to have balls to do this as well. It doesn't take, and I'm not saying I'm the most ballsy man in the world, far from it. However, I know what I want, even though I may be unproductive and very, very, very procrastinative at times. I'm not even sure that's a word, but I digress. I will get it. And so I know now it's Monday, February 9th. I know that there's a big event that can get me what I want that I don't have in life. Let me try and get some friends, get some people that I know, so that we could find this one goal together and grow as people, right? This is important too. So there's a million things I could have been doing, and there's a million people I could have been talking to. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What matters is what I do. You know what I mean? My circles at the end of the day can only influence me so much. But it's important too to surround yourself with people that want you to grow, because if you don't grow, then you're never gonna ascend. You're always gonna stay stuck at the same spot, right? I know that I have great power, and I have to achieve it, because then it's gonna be wasted potential if I don't. And that's really my own advice to myself through this screen. But going off what I was saying earlier, yeah, man, it's just, you have a week to a week and a half or 5 days. I don't really know what the time is until Valentine's Day. I actually saying this because a friend of mine sent a reel on our group chat earlier today, talking about how Valentine's Day is on a Saturday night, right? Which it coincides a lot with clubs and night out and whatnot. So obviously, a lot of people are going to be out trying to find a one-night stand or whatever it might be, right? If they're not trying to be serious for anything or commit to anything or whatnot. And like, yo, it's not that deep. Like, you have to know what you want too. I think that's one thing I wasn't telling myself earlier. You have to know what you want. Like, if you want a girlfriend, you know what you have to do. You have to go out there, make rapport, find someone, right? Like, really build, make her laugh, engage with her, be interested, be charming. Find that balance between not too gay and not too boring either, right? Kind of in between the two. And I use those terms because they do work in effect. They do, right? A lot of gay guys, and it's not to demean anyone, are good with women because they have that zest to them. They have that saison. They have that flavor that a lot of straight guys don't, right? They know what to talk about with women. We don't, right? And we have to learn it. So I have to learn that girls like certain things and don't like other things. And vice versa, right? Same thing with women. And as guys, you know, we're the chasers, right? We can't be the ones expecting girls to come up to us. That's not how it should work. You know, it should always be the other way around. That's how it's always been throughout human history, and that's how it should continue to be. But anyways, you know, now I feel like a freaking influencer, like one of those content creators I always see on Instagram, just scrolling. But I realize we're not that different one from another. You know, one guy could have a girlfriend, the other guy could be exactly the same and not have one because he just missed something or didn't try as hard or whatever it might be, right? He didn't put himself out there. And so because of that, one guy's got a girl and the other guy doesn't, you know, he hasn't gotten one yet. And so that, it really makes me think. It's, you know, it's something to ponder about. But anyways, those are just some of my thoughts in the middle of the day, February 9th, 2026. I'm gonna see what I do, but you know, action alleviates anxiety. I read that from Paul Bryson, very good content creator. And yeah, I mean, you know, if there's a will, there's a want. So if you want something, you gotta put yourself out there. I read a quote one time. It read, if you want something you've never had before, you're gonna have to be willing to do something you've never done before. Peace out.